All right, good people. We're back for another week. Eagles Elite, Season 3, Episode 25. We banging them out. No, I look a little darker than normal. I'm on location, but it's all good. Y'all know what we coming with. Y'all know how we starting off. Y'all know what we do. We getting close to the regular season. We got news. We got updates on some of the roster battles that are happening on the team. There's not a lot, but there are some. And of course, power rankings for everybody. If there have been any changes since the original power rankings came out, that sort of thing. And who's playing well and who's not. These are all things that your boys are going to get into. But before we go any further, there's somebody we got to get in here. What up, Wyatt?
What's going on, cool? What's going on, Eagles Nation? Another week means another week closer to the Eagles season here. I mean, training camp was the last day of it was today. One step closer, man. Only a couple weeks left till week 1.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And hey, y'all, Benny Boom in the building.
Benny.
Fly, Eagles, fly. Yes, sir, Benny, man. We have you on the chat with us, man. It just makes everything so much better. All right, y'all. So we about to get into it. But, as always, we got to get a little hypeness for ourselves, boost the energy level. Let's get it.
The kick is away, and the kick it's gone! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. You just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
All right, so y'all, it's that time. Y'all know we start off with the news. It don't matter if it's regular season, preseason, postseason, after season, before season, whatever. It's always the updates first. So Wyatt, I know you don't always have all the updates, and no one expects to have all. But what you got for us? I know you got some juicy bits.
Yeah, just some drops on the roster and some pickups here. We saw an offensive lineman at Jason Poe. We brought him back. He was previously on the roster. And we ended up releasing tight end CJ Uzama, who was kind of on the roster bubble here for a while now. So they weren't impressed with what he was seeing, especially with the tight end 3 position looking like it's being taken up by what's his name, the young kid, it's EJ Jenkins, who looked really good in this last preseason game. So, we picked him up. Well, he was a free agent, I believe. I don't think we traded for CJ Uzma, but he's gone as of right now. We know we need some help there at that tight end position. So looking like somebody was standing out. Calcaterra seemed like he was a shoe-in for that second spot. And of course, Dallas got her at number 1, but we definitely need some depth there.
Yeah, man. I hate to see Uzama go because I like the veteran, giving you the opportunity to kind of really get the young players involved and everything in offense. But at the same time, I mean, if he's the fourth man, it is what it is. Once you drop below 3 on the depth chart, you can't make the team. So
exactly. And then we also ended up fully releasing Tyler Hall, the recent injury settlement with this cornerback Tyler Hall. So he's officially now a free agent. He's not going to be on the Eagles roster. So that's another cornerback gone, another roster spot that is open as of right now.
Yeah, I questioned if he was going to make the team anyway. Not to be funny, but
oh no, it's completely understandable.
Yeah, it's just at least like you said, definitively he's no longer going to be an Eagle.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to be hard for a lot of these guys in the cornerback position to make the roster with how many guys we had and how deep we are as far as depth goes.
All right. So Benny says, Diva received her package. Did you guys get yours? Wyatt, that was a birthday gift for you.
I did receive it. Thank you so much, Benny. I appreciate it.
I don't know if I got mine yet, Benny. I'm pretty sure I did. I just haven't had a chance to check. And I'm on location right now. Appreciate it. If it's not there now, I know it's coming. I ain't even sweating. Any other news or notes you got for the
Just
update?
something that was interesting from Lane Johnson's interview today. They asked him about the possibility of when he could possibly retire and how he's feeling. He says that he feels like he can play until he's at least 40, but he said realistically it's probably going to be within the next 2 to 3 years he's going to end up retiring, kind of cementing what we all kind of expected with, how he's getting up there with the age and how long he's been around in the NFL for a while.
Yeah. So a couple of things I'll add.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen Nakobe Dean have some really great practices.
Yeah.
He's looking like a guy that's pushing to maybe not start, maybe start, but he will be in that rotation. He's played his way into that. Vic Fangio talked about the joint practices that they were doing and how they're invaluable for the players in his media time. And he was just basically saying how it gives them a chance, offense, to play against another offense and defense. Because all camp, you're playing against each other. So you kind of learn the tendencies from each other, what to do, how to beat a guy when he, some guys will move their finger like that, but they make a move or do different things. They'll lean one way or the other, the rock, the fingers will change positions, the knuckles will get tight, like just simple things. But you learn those when you're playing against each other so much. But when you get a chance to play against a different team, that kind of helps you see if what you think is accurate or is it just people learning from the repetitions of playing against each other. Yeah. So that was good for him to point out. So couple of scares, right? So Tyler Steen and Mekhi Becton had both gotten dinged up a little bit, we'll say. Becton's already back, but he did miss the rest of that practice. Steen was out. So for a while we had Brett Toth as the first team right guard. So anything happens to them, it looks like Brett Toth would be the guy playing behind them, or at least, from what happened. Landon Dickerson also got banged up, but he was able to come back onto the field, so no time for him to miss. Just want everybody healthy. Of course, we all do, to begin the season. And then one other piece of news was just from training camp and who the Eagles were talking about from training camp, right? So the guy that they've been talking about, biggest surprise, has been Jalix Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
We'll call him a linebacker / edge rusher. The third round, they list him pretty much as an edge rusher, but I think he can play some traditional linebacker as well. So most people thought this was going to be a year he wouldn't play a lot. But from what he's doing in camp and what I'm hearing, he's a kid, 6'4", 225 pounds, that could possibly end up in the rotation this year. So that's good to hear. That means that he's someone that's playing above the expectation for him. And you always want that. You want guys to kind of come out and show you more than you expected.
Yeah.
And we are definitely that. And I'm excited for Jalix Hunt, and I'm excited for all these young players that we have on this team, man. Now that we've got most of those guys out there, Cooper DeSheen, he's playing well. We already know Quinyon Mitchell, he's been going one-on-one with Devontae and AJ.
Yeah, we'll actually get to see Cooper a little bit during this last preseason game. They already said that he's going to be playing a little bit. Who else do we have here? I mean, yeah, Jalix Hunt. I mean, it looked like Jalix Hunt was probably like going to be kind of a project this season, but with him kind of progressing through training camp and impressing Vic Fangio and a lot of the other coaches, it seems like he could develop that role, which would be nice. I mean, it's a guy we weren't really expecting to really do much or see much action this season. Put him in the rotation and get him really ready for the coming years. It could be huge, especially with a draft pick like that. But a couple other surprises. Will Shipley, I mean, we all kind of knew what to expect a little bit from him, just given his game in college. But with him translating to the NFL, what we've seen through preseason, Will Shipley looks nice. The trade for Kenny Pickett doesn't look too great as of right now. I know we always kind of said about him possibly being a project, not a project, but like a trade, asset at some point. Hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. I'm not sure how many teams are excited to get Kenny Pickett as of right now with how he's looked in preseason. But maybe there'll be a team desperate enough to actually go out and maybe give us like a third or fourth or something for him, just if they're in desperate need. Looking at Minnesota as of right now, maybe another couple teams once the season starts, somebody starts getting banged up. Because, man, Tanner McKee looks absolutely great during these preseason games. He looked great last year. He's looking really good this year. Jalen Hurts has nothing but great things to say about Tanner McKee, as well as some other coaches. So, I mean, I understand them wanting to put Kenny Pickett as number 2, which is, I can understand you traded assets for him. You kind of want him to be your number 2, but at the same time, you need to have the best guy out there that's available. Put Tanner McKee at number 2. Why not? I'd rather see that. Yeah, cool. We'll be back. I figured he was having some issues here. We got some comments here though. Philly, what's going on, gentlemen? What's going on, Philly? Old man Mob, how we doing tonight, my brother? Cool, man, Legend Wyatt. Thank you. You know she's not here. Get the great Eagles diva. Oh, we got Cool back. What's going on, Cool?
What's going on?
Just reading some of the comments here.
Yeah, let me throw them up there for everybody. I know you probably said them.
I got Philly and Benny Boom.
Yeah. So Benny says, of course, I'm sure you already read it, but get you back up there. And Old Man Mob, I got Old Man Mob in the building. So I want to say real quick, man, Old Man Mob, that's our guy, man. He's a Patriots fan. Y'all know how we be getting on the Patriots, but he still rock with us. And man, I appreciate that, old man. It's good to have people that really in your corner, man. You don't have a lot, but we appreciate that. And then Philly, of course, I'm sure you said what's going on, gentlemen. Mm-hmm. Did we get the Benny Boom's other comments?
I didn't get that one yet. No.
All right, let's go here. So Benny says, I'm pulling for tight end EJ Jenkins to make the roster. The guy plays with some heart. Oh, sir. With CJ Uzomah getting cut, he's pretty much going to make that roster.
Yeah, he's a lock as of right now, I'm pretty sure.
We can't not keep 3 tight ends, especially with Calcaterra as the backup. No shade on Calcaterra, but my man does not stay healthy. So we got to do what we got to do. Mm-hmm. So I definitely would say he's on there. I like this one too, Benny. I like this.
A little bit. Yeah, I was talking about Will Shipley a little bit while you were gone, how great he's looked during preseason so far.
So, yeah, y'all, I mean, I was giving y'all some real breakdown and stuff. Then I was like, wait a minute. I looked at my little globe at the bottom, right? Because the screen will freeze on you for a second, and you don't realize it. But, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Then my man Big E says technical difficulty. I'll be back. So appreciate you for putting that in there for me, sir.
Yep. Tanner
Philly says we should keep Tanner McKee at number 2. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. While you were gone, I was talking about how Kenny Pickett looked during these games and how well Tanner McKee's looked. Not just this preseason, but even last season, Tanner McKee looked really good.
Old man says nothing but respect unless Pats and Eagles meet the Super Bowl again. Got to break the tie. I hope it breaks our way. But here's the problem, old man. Real talk. It's going to be hard for anybody to get through the AFC as long as the referee's favorite is there. Yeah,
AFC got a real tough road to get to that Super Bowl.
You can get there, but it'll take some work. Put it like that, it'll take some work. But it can't happen. But back to Tanner McKee, man. Tanner McKee definitely outplayed Kenny Pickett. But I'm going to tell y'all what I think. And, you can agree with me. You can not as cool either way. Kenny Pickett is here to be traded.
Exactly what I said. Exactly what I said, man. Like literally, so that's what he's here for. That's what we've been saying this whole time.
There's even a report out that the Chargers were looking at him.
Oh,
interested
interesting.
in having him as their backup. Yeah, so
I didn't see that.
yeah, I saw an article about that on Sports Illustrated. Don't know why they would be, but that's what it says. Yeah, I'm just telling you what was being thrown out there. But
I mean, I think he fits kind of the more like mold of like a Herbert than Hurts. I think there's more of a comparison with Herbert than there is with Hurts. So maybe that's why.
hey man, I cannot disagree with that. Like when I look at Pickett, even when we picked him up, I'm like, it's kind of like doing the Minshew thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting a guy that probably can be a solid backup in the NFL. I didn't think Pickett was a starter when he was drafted, but I feel like he had a place in the league. The thing with a guy like Pickett, or at least a starter right away, the thing with a guy like Pickett is, like you said, the skill set is not the same or that similar to Jalen Hurts'. Like you had him go out there and try to run some bootlegs and different stuff, but he did not look like a guy that was comfortable doing that. You know what I'm saying?
No.
He did not. So we already know that, like, if you want to be successful, you got to have a guy that can come in and run the second team defense, just the offense, just like the first. And I just don't see that with Pickett. And it's not a knock on him as a NFL quarterback. It's just taking a square peg and fitting it into a round hole. We all know that this does not work out properly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel about, that situation. I'm with Philly. I like McKee at number 2. Hurts is a veteran now. We're not talking about a guy that needs another quarterback to like mentor him, and Pickett can't do that either, right? He's just been around about as long as McKee. So I think Pickett's at number 2 for the same reason that Bradbury will probably make the team. And that's for trades. Benny says, if the Chargers want him, then give us Khalil Mack. Laugh out loud. We're going to have to send a lot more than Kenny Pickett to get Khalil Mack, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Kenny Pickett just looks uncomfortable. I don't know if it's just because he's new here. I don't know. But Terry McKee, he just looks comfortable in the pocket. He's making his reads really fast. He's making the throws he needs to. He's making throws over 10 yards, which Kenny Pickett for some reason just cannot do, or even attempt to throw over 10 yards. I don't know. It's maybe just McKee's familiarity with the organization within like the different concepts they've been utilizing, but I don't know. It just seems like there's just some form. He's just more comfortable in the system than Kenny Pickett is. And like you said, I don't know if Kenny Pickett was actually meant to stay here long term anyway. So, for the right price, how he's going to go out here and make a steal somehow.
Yeah, how he'll go trade him tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe
He'll
possibly
trade him
for a
and
wide
Bradbury
receiver.
together.
We need a wide receiver 3 possibly.
Hey, Benny says he's been looking uncomfortable since he came into the league.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying.
Can't argue with it, Benny. Can't argue.
But I know if they ended up going with Kenny Pickett and they ended up like putting McKee on like the practice squad or letting him go or something, he's going to be picked up immediately. There's going to be so many teams that want Tanner McKee because of how decent he's looked for us during preseason and everything.
You're going to have to keep McKee too.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be like the we can have that emergency third quarterback that doesn't count. I think that'll have to be McKee. And the reason being is because and the reason being, of course, is because you can't let Pickett be the emergency quarterback if you're trying to put him out there as a tradable asset.
Yeah. And exactly what old man said. Like the Vikings, that's my number one, like who I would expect to trade with. Just because given their current quarterback situation. They got Sam Darnold starting for them.
Yep. What old man said was maybe the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy going down. Throw you guys a pick. If so, maybe Tannehill as QB3, vet QB. I'll tell you, man, as soon as McCarthy got hurt, I was like, yo, can you pick it out here? You want it? Yeah, that's the kind of thing.
He's available.
Exactly. And I think that's how we did it because he understands that every year a couple of these better quarterbacks are going to go down. And if you got a guy that can fit a different role, right? Because you have to be more unique to play behind a guy like Jalen Hurts. Hurts has an arm. He knows the plays, but he can run as well. So it's going to be versatility. It's going to be read and react, RPO, things like that you may not play if you're more of a traditional quarterback, which is what Pickett is. So you want to highlight him. You want to get him in games if necessary because you want to be able to trade him. But at the end of the day, we both understand he's not the guy in Philly. If Jalen Hurts goes down, I wouldn't expect to see him come in and play the same offense. McKee, I think, is better suited.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. Maybe it's a homer because McKee's one of our guys. But hey, Benny, nah, I'm not saying he's no Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford.
Sammy Sleeves.
Boy, we could do 3 or 4 shows talking about Sam Bradford at his time in Philly, but we ain't even gonna do
Some
that.
rough years, man.
They were, but he always looked happy.
You're right. Like every time I think of Sam Bradford, he's like always smiling.
Right. Like, but you just 3 interceptions and got sacked for like a 15-yard loss that cost us the game. Why are you smiling?
He said, "It's all right, guys. We'll get him next time."
Yeah. Why you sound like him? Bro, that's crazy, man. That was some interesting years. Like, you felt comfortable just listening, but then if you watch the game, you was like, "What's wrong with this guy? Does he not live in our reality? What is happening?" That was him, man. That was our guy, Sammy.
Dirty looks on the bench and everything.
Oh man, talk about some. Or you all trade New England a 2026 7th round pick for Zappy.
All the way to the 7th round.
That's about the value, man. I respect the fact that you had equal value. Man, I respect that. I respect that. Yeah. So we're gonna hop into our first break here. Come back, and then we're gonna talk about some of these battles that we have so far and what we think is going to happen with them. So make sure y'all stay tuned and make sure you don't forget to hit that like, that share, that sub button, so we can get this thing nice and filled up and a lot more interaction. Let's go.
Rams fans all around the world.
It's a beautiful thing to be a Rams fan right now. Stafford's back. We're going to see about Kupp. And running back Kyren Williams to return.
Lend me your ears, or should I say lend Playmaker your ears, as he breaks down week by week everything in the Los Angeles Rams canon.
Number 99, Aaron Donald. Can't wait for 2029 to come to know that you are going in the Hall of Fame, and it should be first ballot, no questions asked.
Join the Playmaker as he breaks down everything Los Angeles Rams style in Ramily Talk on the Playmakers Blog Network YouTube channel and where you can find podcasts. Oh, yes. The tradition, the pageantry, the spectacle, the history, the slut. Wait. I gotta rep my brother's stuff right. All my DMV soldiers, stand up! And welcome to the Commander's Gridiron Report. You want your Commanders to be repped right? Well, D. Willie is your man. Commander's Gridiron Report. Every Tuesday at 11:05 a.m. Eastern, 10:05 a.m. Central on the Sotoba Media YouTube channel. Music by J. Cool. Join Ryan McCarthy.
I became a Jets fan because Kermit the Frog was my favorite Muppet because he was green, and the Jets wore green. That's how I became a Jets fan.
And Dustin Henry.
ESPN is cashing all in on let's pay a few personalities and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps.
As they walk you through all of the world of sports from their perspective.
The Albany Empire, it's a literal circus.
No credentials required. Where, Ryan, say the tag.
Where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
Live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on YouTube and where you can Drew Willingham.
In this case, yeah, you put the blame on Kyle Shanahan for apparently not preparing the team enough for the overtime rules, supposedly.
Cole Johnson.
Peyton was considered the winner, and he was the darling of all darlings for Gerald.
With a special appearance by Tyrone Alizé McDuffie. dummy.
Ain't nobody calling me. Text delete.
Join these two football enthusiasts as they give you Total Football Talk. Live every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on the Sertoba Media and the Comey Media YouTube channels.
All right, good people, back in the building. So it's time to get into that conversation. So we know we had some positions going into camp where there were some battles, right? We already knew. Nothing surprising about it, nothing new. So we know inside linebacker was definitely one. So Wyatt, man, what are your thoughts on that battle between Devin White? Damn, I forgot all the names, man. My brain got temporarily fried. Nakobe Dean and what's my other man's name? Zach Bond. There we go.
Yeah. I mean, I think like as far as linebacker goes, I think you're looking at Zach Bond and Devin White. It seems like they've kind of been the two standouts over everybody else. Now, with Vic Fangio's defense, they're going to be rotating in and out. So it seems like Nakobe Dean's going to be getting some work throughout these different series, as well as Trotter Jr., who's been looking really good through these preseason games as well and through practice. And because that was kind of an unknown, like we saw what he was as far as college goes, but nobody really knew how Trotter was going to translate to the NFL. I mean, it looks very promising so far. And I think being with like veterans like Bond and Devin White's, he's on a year, he's trying to go out and make some money after everything that happened in Tampa Bay. I think with some veterans there, it gives the young guys a lot to learn from so they can grow a lot faster. And I think working with each other and kind of rotating in and out is going to help them progress even further. But as far as starters, I think it's Devin White and Zach Bond that are going to be starting out each series or each drive, however they're rotating them.
Yes, I agree. And also our lads who, I use often because they seem to be pretty up to date and pretty on point with what's happening with the team. They have the starters right now as Zach Bond and Devin White with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Nakobe Dean as the backups. Ben Van Summeren has dropped to third string along with Oren Burks. So I definitely feel like what you're saying, I'm picking up what you're laying down with that. I definitely think that's the way we'll be moving, at the linebacker position. I do expect him, like you said, to get play and get opportunities, but at the same time. So to go back to some previous conversations just real quick, because, we like to make sure we get y'all that interactive piece. Old Man Mob says it needs to be cut. He also says, I'm willing to cut the grass at the head coach, GM, OC, and the water boy grass. Oh, man, you wildin', man. Benny says, when you watch Tanner run the offense, do see how he dissect the field like he's a veteran QB. Dude is ready to hang with the big boys. He is, and he gonna hang with the big boys on the Eagles too. We just got to try to get something out of Kenny Pickett, and I'm not even mad. I respect that because I understand the purpose of it. It's not that you feel like Pickett is a better quarterback. You just know that he's your tradable asset. I don't have a problem. Rod in the building. Rod says, "What up, fellas?" Rod, and tell Miss Uncensored we said what up, and Fly Eagles fly true.
I haven't seen Rod in a minute. What's going on, man?
Sir. Benny says, I still have concerns about the edge rushers. So, Benny, hey, we could talk about it. Me and White here, we could talk about it. So, our edge rushers, basically, that's our outside linebackers. They're going to be using coverage as well, but a lot of times, at least one of them is going to be rushing. That's what Vic's setting up for us. So, you got on the left, Bryce Huff is your starter, Brandon Graham, and then Jalen Hunt, who's probably going to make the team as well. On the right outside linebacker, you got Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith, and Teron Jackson. I'm guessing we're keeping 5 there because I think they want Hunt on this roster. So we're going to have to keep 5 to do so. So I think Hunt would be the 5th. He may not play a lot, but he would be, I think, on the roster. In the middle, I think we're going to keep 4. So I think Ben Van Summeren, Teron Jackson, probably both are going to end up back Ben Van Summer, and Oren Burks are going to end up back on the practice squad. Well, I'll
Yeah.
say this about what I think we have. Bryce Huff as an every down edge rusher, outside linebacker, you have to look at that and have some questions because it's not a role that he's previously had consistently. So that's reasonable to have some concerns. But if you look at what he's been doing in camp, what he's been doing in the preseason games, when he's played, what he's been doing in joint practices, you have to feel at least comfortable right now. Now, none of that replaces when he's on the field game one against, an NFL team, top guys ready to play, pass on. Everything's running through your head, trying to process everything real quick. But you got guys around you. BG's a vet. Nolan Smith was here last year. Josh Sweat's a vet. You know what I'm saying? So you have guys at that position who can help you kind of process things and be straight. So I think why you should have concerns if you're a reasonable fan and you're really looking at what can be good and what can be bad. I think you do still have to look at it and say, at the same time, I think we should be fine if everybody plays up to the expectations and not expecting anyone to go out and dominate and kind of do. I haven't heard anything about him kind of going in and trying to be like Hassan Reddick or anything. He's just being himself, doing what he does.
Yeah.
Rod says D Slay free safety. No, sir. Not at all. Biddy Boom says, have any of you heard anything about Josh Don't Call Keith Sweat? I haven't, but I think it's a good thing.
Yeah,
Rod,
I think nothing at all is better than hearing something bad,
the funny thing is, I moved on to the next comment, but I literally had the same thing in my mind to say. Like, literally. What's wrong with not hearing anything? That means there's no problem, no issues if you're not hearing anything. And if you listen to the press conference, I've been listening to a lot of the press conferences. Teammates are saying a lot of good things about Josh Sweat. You got not Nakobe Dean, but you've got Jalen Carter, right, talking about how Sweat's a big part of like what they're trying to do and different stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather hear nothing but bad stuff. I'm with you. Rod says Trotter Jr. makes the team. Wide receivers room question. Jeremiah Trotter is going to make the team. Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Wide receiver room, that is a question. We're going to talk about that battle. Matter of fact, since you brought it up, Rod, just for you, my guy. Let's go ahead and talk about wide receiver 3, because that's the only one there's a question. Anybody sits here and tell me that AJ Brown is not the left wide receiver and that Devontae Smith is not the right wide receiver, I don't know what to tell you. Now, I'm concerned at what I see on our last as the wide receiver 3 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of concern, but I'll let you go, sir.
Yeah, I mean, there's some concern for the wide receiver 3 position all around. I mean, at this point, I feel like we were comfortable with it a couple weeks ago, not as much now. Of course, according to the depth chart on our lads, they have Britton Covey as the wide receiver 3, which we have been hearing over the past week or so about how high the organization is on him, how well he's been doing, and during these preseason games, how well he's been looking during training camp. But I mean, the kind of the veterans we've brought in, like Paris Campbell, John Ross, they've been banged up. They've been getting hurt. They haven't been able to get too much reps. I mean, John Ross got some preseason action. I don't believe Paris Campbell did. I think he's been banged up here for a little bit now. So we haven't really got to see them too much other than maybe like during OTAs and maybe the first week of training camp or whatever. Johnny Wilson, he's been looking pretty good throughout training camp. He's been silent here for the past week or so. We haven't really heard too much about Johnny Wilson. Anaya Smith didn't look great at all through most of training camp. They're saying he's been looking better over the past week or two, though. I don't know. There's a huge question mark over this. I mean, Britton Covey obviously isn't the one that we would go with, but I think he may be like the safest bet as of right now, maybe like the more reliable, maybe like a placeholder until we're able to get somebody else. Because I mean, Johnny Wilson, he has been impressing a lot of people, but do you want to throw a rookie directly in as the wide receiver 3, like in the slot? I mean, you could possibly move him around because of given his size and everything, but that's not the best option to go with. So, I mean, overall, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, I think what I think Howie's going to do is probably go out and get a wide receiver 3 somewhere, whether it's through trade, getting someone out of here, bringing someone in. I don't know. I think most likely before the season happens, that'll happen, or like right in the beginning of the season. You know how Howie likes making a trade, like right at the beginning of the season. So I don't know, man. There's a huge question mark there. I don't know who exactly you're comfortable with, because I mean, I think a lot of people would go with like Paris Campbell would probably be the best option as wide receiver 3, but can he even stay healthy? He's not even out there as of right now. Britton Covey, he can stay healthy, but he's a huge question mark because we haven't really seen him in game time action, especially like during a regular season, other than punt returns and whatnot. I don't know. It's a big question mark that they haven't really talked about or haven't really addressed as far as like the coaches and coaching staff.
Man, when I look on the depth chart and I see Britton Covey as a starting wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm ready to throw something. Like, I'm sorry. Britton Covey was a guy that was dropping balls last year, and I feel like this is another one of those Kenneth Gainwell type moves. Like, they just so enamored with this guy for some reason, and you don't see it in games, you don't see it in open practices, but you hear like in all these other situations, or when you see him play against lesser talent, you become convinced that he's a guy that could play. It's like, come on, man. I mean, I do notice that when we look on the second level of the depth chart, we have John Ross and Paris Campbell there. So it looks like they've kind of moved up into those backup positions. So I see either one of them as a possibility to have that job versus Covey. But you also bring up a great point that I wanted to touch on, trades. I do believe wholeheartedly that we're going to do something to address that wide receiver 3 position, because we did get screwed. We brought a guy in and then he quit pretty much on us. So you got to kind of try to figure that out. But I think we'll be fine between cuts, maybe a trade for a guy that a team doesn't really feel like is a starter for them, but they want to get some value for him, maybe a late round pick swap, something like that, whatever. But I just want to get it done. Like, I want to go into the season knowing we've got guys in place, and I just don't feel like Covey is that guy based on what I've seen from Covey. I understand I hear camp and sometimes you have good practices and stuff like that. That's cool, but your body of work also needs to matter. And based on last year, but we went through the same thing last year with Quez Watkins. So we'll see. We'll see, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's these guys that they say are going to play well, and then you see them play, you're like, what? This is the same trash we saw last year. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Britton Covey went out, put in the work, worked on the hands, worked on the route running, saw these other guys coming in as free agency and rookies to take his job, and just was able to put in more work and become a better guy. But until I see that in a regular season game against starting talent from another NFL team, I'm not going to be convinced based on his history. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, he has been getting better at the kick returns and everything. He's looking pretty decent at that, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be immediately able to go right in the slot.
We should have learned from this last year, but maybe we didn't. All right, so
kept the keys.
Right cornerback. What do you think is going to happen there? I mean, I tell you, I think it's going to be Isaiah Rodgers.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Isaiah Rodgers there. I know Keely Ringo has been looking really good through camp. He's been getting burnt the past couple of days of training camp, though, like as far as deep touchdown passes from right here, like a couple from Devontae Smith had some deep touchdown passes that went his way that he wasn't able to cover. So maybe that's kind of getting him to go to Isaiah Rodgers a little bit more. He's been in the league for a little while. He has looked. I haven't heard a lot of bad things about Isaiah Rodgers throughout training camp. That's all I could say, as opposed to like some Kelly Ringo plays. But I think with more experience under his belt and everything, I think that's probably the best route to go.
Yeah. Benny says the question, in your opinion, QB2 Ringo or Rodgers? So we just covered that. Benny says,
I mean, I think they could rotate too. I don't think Ringo's going to be out entirely.
Right. Johnny Wilson is in concussion protocol. We did see that, but we just, as far as making the roster, he looked really good when he did play. The concussion thing should be taken care of or cleared up by the time the regular season starts, hopefully. So we'll see. Rod asks, is our head coach on the hot seat? I honestly believe he can't afford, I think he's meant to say, a quick playoff bounce out. Rod, if there was any possibility that our coach was in any trouble, he would no longer be there. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
apparently he's got a get out of jail free card that doesn't expire because he's still our coach.
Because yes, man.
That's all I can. I didn't say it. Why I did. He said it. I'm not disputing it at all, but I ain't say it because y'all be like looking at me like, "Oh, you always got something to say about somebody." I ain't say it. I'm not disagreeing, but I ain't say it.
Yeah.
So, old man Mob says when D-Hop gets back, I can see the Titans being willing to trade Treylon Burks. It would be so funny if we were to get him.
I don't think Titans willing to deal with us anymore. Listen, I would love Treylon Burks, but I don't think the Titans want anything to do with the Eagles as of right now.
Yeah, and the Titans are still my second favorite team for this year too. This is the last year of the 3 years, so they're my second favorite team for this year as well. Old man says Pats might be willing to trade KJ or Booty if they get Dotson from Commanders. Or we could just go get Dotson.
Yeah, go get Dotson.
He said, "Try to tell you
about one of the Texans wide receivers that's like on the, outside the bubble there that will possibly get traded."
Yeah, old man, you didn't tell us that Parker was a quitter. You should have told us that. That's what you didn't tell us. But it's all good. You said that he wasn't a good fit, but you didn't tell us he was a quitter. But that's okay. It was not your responsibility to communicate that information to us. It's all good. It's all good. But he's he said, "Yes, I did." Well, if you say you did, I believe you. I just don't remember it. So we should have known better. That's on us for believing in him. All right, at right guard. Who you got? Right guard.
Right guard. I know they have Steen here on the R lads, but I think Mekhi Becton is going to get the right guard spot.
So I think Becton's able to play right now. So if Steen can't get back and show that he's able to play, it's not even really a battle. It's more like you're the backup, the starter can't go, or the quote unquote starter. I do think we start the season with Becton as the right guard, unless Steen can get healthy the next few days and show that he's ready to go out and have that position. But I think once he's ready to play, I think Steen's going to get the shot, unless Becton goes out there and just really clicks with those other guys. Because the fact of the matter is, you can lose your position in NFL to injury. I think Steen's the guy right now, but to your point, if Becton goes out there and he just clicks with those other 4 guys and he's slinging people and he's getting the job done, and Jurgens likes playing beside him, Johnson likes playing beside him, he ain't getting off that field. But we'll see how it plays out. Tyler Steen, you want that job, you better figure out a way to get healthy, my brother, because he wants your job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then lastly, nickel cornerback.
Who we got here?
So surprisingly, I'll go ahead and go first on this one. So surprisingly, Quinyon Mitchell has taken over as the guy for the nickel cornerback position. And you might say, how did that happen? Well, they're working on Avonte Maddox as a backup free safety right now because Sidney Brown is on the PUP list, physically unable to perform the PUP list. So while he's there, we're going to need another guy at the safety position. And Maddox has some experience playing free safety. So right now he's being listed as the backup free safety, which means he's not playing nickel. So with nickel, I think we keep 2 guys, 2 versatile guys, and I think they're in order of when they were picked in the draft. Round 1, Quinyon Mitchell, number 1 on the depth chart. Round 2, Cooper DeJean, second on the depth chart. And I don't have a problem with either one of those guys being a starter and rotating starts. They're definitely going to probably rotate time. But I like that they're putting them there, and I'll tell you why. Nickelback is a completely different position from right or left corner, outside corner. It's like a hybrid between safety and corner. So if you're putting them there, you're asking them to learn this set of positions for this year. Young guys, we know that you're going to be special, we believe, in the future. But right now, at right and left corner, we have Darius Slay and more than likely Isaiah Rodgers. Keely Ringo's a good backup, as well as Eli Ricks on the right and left. Right, Ringo on the right, Ricks on the left. So where can we get you on the field and get you time to play and allow you to develop your skills right away? Nickel. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it too. I mean, that's not a position he was familiar with, so apparently he came in and he's a fast learner. He's able to go out there and do exactly what's asked of him. And I mean, that gives you a lot of leeway to kind of move Cooper around if you need to as well. I mean, he's versatile also, and that also gives him some time to get some more work in since he missed a lot of training camp.
Yeah. Oh man I said he quit on the Pats and blames Mac Jones. You did say that. You did say that. I do recall that now. He dropped the ball. I do said it wasn't a good pass. Believe me, y'all died for cancer. Coach Dante in the building. What up, Coach?
What's going on, man?
Always good to have you in the building with us, man. Definitely. All right, so instead of the commercial break, what we'll do here is we'll just ride into the next one. So, guys, you're going to have to tune in next week for that update on the preseason power rankings, because as y'all can tell, some good conversation tonight. Kind of went to the side, but that's okay. We like the interaction. It's all good. So, why any surprise? I know it's a Davis that. I know it is. I do. What's your best surprise players of the preseason so far for the Eagles? Anybody that comes to mind?
I'll pick two because I know I always get crap for just taking a bunch of players, taking everybody's picks.
You can take as many as you want tonight, man. You can take as many as you want.
I'll go with Jalix Hunt because he's been outperforming what we've expected of him up to this point. Like when you were gone, I kind of was saying that we kind of expected him to be that project player throughout the year. We didn't know how much time he was going to be getting throughout the season, but it's looking like he may be a part of the rotational, defensive front there, which would be pretty cool. The other one I have is Will Shipley. I've been high on him since that first preseason game. He's been getting a lot of looks. He's been looking really good. Hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe able to move up that depth chart a little bit more. Get Kenny Knoxville Gainwell out of here.
I would not be mad. I would not be mad at Will Shipley for that. So I'm going to go with, I think I'm going to say this wrong, but Tyron Davis Price, our fourth round running back. He's been running hard. He's a bowling ball with feet, as our associate is sometimes co-conspirator Key always says. He's making it difficult to cut him. And that's what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to make the team say, man, do we want to keep 4 running backs? We got to consider it because of the way this guy's playing. So, I mean, again, same thing, you're playing against 2s and 3s. You're not playing against a lot of 1s, but that's not your concern. Running backs run. And he's running hard and he's making plays. And, he's getting hit sometimes, but it's always hard running dedication. He's a guy that looks hungry. He wants to be on this roster. So I like it because I love guys that want it. And he looks like he wants it. But we'll see if they actually do keep him. But he's definitely one of mine. And I'm going to cheat and go with 2 more. Johnny Wilson. I know he's hurt right now, but as you said earlier, playing really well, man. Just looks like a guy that can do the role that they expect from him. He doesn't look like he's ready to be a starter in the NFL, but he looks like it's a complementary piece of wide receiver, a guy that you can put in any of those positions in the short down situations, in red zone situations, plays like that. He's a guy that can go up and get the ball and make the plays that you need him to make. You need a guy like that. And I always have to go with a defensive guy. I'm going to go linebacker too, and I'm going to go with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. He's really impressed. He showed a high football IQ as a guy. Appreciate it. As a guy that's coming from college and making a transition, shows high IQ. Dad's also a great player for the Eagles, but that doesn't mean the talent goes to the next generation, right? You could be great. He's a perfect example of a guy who's amazing, talent, did not pass on to his kids. Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Yeah, I was just going to say Michael Jordan. I was thinking it.
His kids, not basketball stars, decent players, but nowhere near the talent of their dad. So it says a lot for his work ethic, how hard he works, and how much time he spends, even if it's with his dad, listening to his dad being coached by his dad and different people along the way that he's able to come in, absorb this information right away, and basically kick Ben Simmons back to the practice squad. So I love what those guys have done. I didn't pick guys like Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean because we already expected that. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really outperform high expectations. But just the way I looked at it.
Yeah. I'm gonna cheat and I'm not gonna pick a player, but biggest surprise is this the defense knows how to tackle. Someone taught this defense how to tackle over this all season, and I love it. I want to see it during the regular season.
Defense. I want y'all to know y'all really scarred my co-host. Like y'all scarred this man. This man was scarred from the way y'all played last year. So thank y'all for being better because I know he can take another season of that.
I know it's preseason, but these guys are actually tackling people to the ground. I couldn't believe my eyes.
Hey, man, I feel it. So Coach Dante Sly says he quit on Davis Mills. So Old Man Mob says Texans can have Zappy, 2026 7th round pick. I'll drive him there. Old man wasn't even going to drive him to us. He ready to drive him to Texas.
That's a good deal.
Houston. That's not bad, man. That's not bad at all. Driving there himself. Hey, old man, I don't know if you want to ride in the car with Bailey Zappi all the way from Houston to Houston, though.
Yeah.
But, hey, you committed. So if it happens, you committed. But yeah, man. So as far as guys who haven't performed well in camp, anybody want to talk about on that
end? Number one person I could think about is Anaya Smith. That's like because he was drafted higher than Johnny Wilson, from what I remember. I mean, I personally was excited for him going into training camp, like OTAs and training camp and whatnot, and it's just extremely disappointing to see what's happened to him so far. I mean, I understand that there may be a learning curve for him. Maybe it may take a while, easily, just kind of slow development. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with him. That's probably one of the biggest disappointments out here. I was like maybe a week or so ago, I would probably put Nakobe Dean on this list. But over the past couple weeks here now, he's actually looking really good. There was a lot of concern about him, in pass coverage. Looking like that's kind of starting to clear up a little bit. He's been looking like a different player over these past week or so.
So offense, gotta go with Kenny Pickett. He is not good. I mean, I know it's kind of like a cop out almost. You're like, come on, bro. But, hey,
I know.
I need to be said. Sometimes it needs to be said.
Yeah,
he's
buns.
He's just not. Yeah, he's just not. It's just not clicking at the moment. Maybe it does a little bit later, but right now, I'm just not feeling what we're getting from Kenny Pickett. It's like, bruh, we need more for the guy who could be one play away. Hurts, gets injured, has to miss a couple plays, has to miss the rest of the game because you kind of want to have him out for just, to protect him, right? Because it's like the game's over, either good or bad. So there's no need to put him back out there. Let's just sit him. You're going to put in Kenny Pickett? That's what you're telling me. You're telling me if that happens, you're going to put in Kenny Pickett. And unless you're going to have 3 active quarterbacks, which is going to be hard to do with some of these other positions where you need depth. Tanner McKee comes in, Hurts or Pickett can't go back in. So I don't know. But I don't feel confident with it being Pickett the way I've seen him. Just don't.
I don't either. Like, I understand you want to have him as the number 2 because you want to be able to trade him eventually, but like you got to have the best guy out there available to like win games if you need to. And that's Tanner McKee, like above and beyond. Everybody can see it. I don't understand why the Eagles can't, or maybe they do and they're just being stubborn about it like they are with certain players in certain positions. But yeah, I don't know how anybody can watch the last preseason games from last year and the ones from this year and be like, oh yeah, Kenny Pickett's better than Tanner McKee right now. It doesn't make any sense.
Like I said, it's got to be because you're trying to trade him. I get that, but still, it's concerning that he's been playing.
Yeah. And I'm going to put Josh Jobe on this list too, just because he's Josh Jobe.
I'm about to say, you could put him on every list with me.
I was going to say, he's a permanent
talking about players that play bad. We solidly put him up there. Like, I had no problems with that. On defense, I'm going to go with PJ Mustipher.
Okay.
It's fallen to 3rd string in nose tackle behind Tupeludo. So he hasn't been necessarily like really bad. He's just been kind of average, right? And I guess you could consider that bad when other guys are progressing and kind of taking it. But Tupeludo was there, So he's a guy that was there last year, right? Worked on the fringe of the roster, practice squad, but put in the work, understands what's there, and is hungry. And I'm also going to go with one of the guys that you were kind of high on, and I was hoping, and that's Ben Van Summer. He doesn't look any better than last year. It doesn't look like there's been any progress, no regression, but doesn't look like there's been any progress either. Kind of feels like the same guy as last year. He's in the same position, about to be in the practice.
Ben Van Summeren.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to it's hard to imagine saying about the linebacker position for the Eagles, but there's a lot of depth there. He's kind of stuck at this moment. Not used to saying that, but there's a lot of depth in the linebacking room for the team. So I mean, he's kind of fighting an uphill battle.
So we'll go back to the comments right quick. Old man says he'll be fine. He'll be in the trunk. I'll be fine. So Coach Dante lets him know, I'm good, old man. I already got another killer on my team, and that's David Smith. I don't need another one. And old man Ma says, nah, you need some zap in your life, please. And then Coach Dante says, Kenny Pickett was never good coming out of college, Now look what he said, a backup, if not that.
People worry about his hand size, but they need to worry about the mentals. Like, is he actually, does he have it up here to be a franchise quarterback?
You know what I said? That whole draft, I felt like a lot of those dudes, Coach Dante could vouch for me, they were backups. They reached a lot for dudes that were backups, at least starting out. And then, some guys get a couple of years to develop and then they could step up. But coming out, they were backups. But everybody's so desperate for quarterbacks, you reach for the best even when the best really shouldn't even be in the first round sometimes. So that's my soapbox on that for the day.
Yeah. I mean, look at Hurts. He was in second round.
So we're going to give y'all a quick update here on the power rankings. Just kind of run through. Not much that really needs to be said about it. And we're going to even make it real simple. We're going to do the top 15 next week. We'll kind of dig into it a little bit. We're just going to get the top 15 just so you can get a little whistle wetting since we promised it to you. So at 15, the New York Jets, they were 17th, so they moved up a couple of spots. At 14, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they dropped down one spot from 13th.
That's interesting.
At 13, up one spot, the Los Angeles Rams, so they just kind of, wiggle wobble real quick. At number 12, the Cleveland Browns, they stayed put. At number 11, the Dallas Cowboys, they stayed put. So that 5 right there, why any surprises in there, anything that kind of caught your eye?
To be honest, I'm a little surprised they have the Jets at 15. You know how the media is all over Aaron Rodgers and all over the Jets being one of the top teams in the NFL. They're one of the Super Bowl favorites as soon as Aaron Rodgers went there. It's just surprising to see them at 15, especially below Jacksonville or below Cleveland, especially because the dude that was on Cleveland giving that run isn't even there anymore, Joe Flacco.
It's a good point. I think for me, I just simply say, as soon as they win the game, they'll be in the top 5.
Yeah. It'll switch real quick.
And number 10, the Green Bay Packers, they stay put, is where they were after the draft. And it's coming into the preseason. At number 9, Cincinnati Bengals, they stay put as well. Number 8, the Miami Dolphins. They actually dropped a spot from 7 to 8. So not a big drop, but a little drop. Then, of course, as they always do, they just switch them up. So the Buffalo Bills are number 7. I got to stop here and just say, did they go out and make a trade for a wide receiver that we don't know about? I don't understand how you move up when you are bereft of proven talent at the wide receiver position. So I'm not going to say talent because they did draft some guys, but they're unproven. And then lastly, number 6, the Houston Texans, they stayed put. I like them there. I think that's a good spot for Houston because Houston's a team that's right there. All they need to do is just continue to get better. CJ Stroud, just don't run into that sophomore slump. Just be the guy that you are. And this team should be, in a good position. Any thoughts on that 5, Wyatt?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably put Miami over the Bills. Bills should be a little bit lower than that. Maybe like around 9 or so. Maybe like move the Bengals up a little bit. Packers are about where I would expect them to be. But everything else seems right on point. Houston 6 is nice. That makes sense.
No. Old man says the draft is almost as bad as Mac Jones' draft. I had no faith in any of them from Jones drafting, including T-Law. And then old man says Purdy better than any QB from Kenny Pick's draft.
It's looking like it.
Yeah. I don't argue with truths. Those are actual factuals that have been proven so far. So nothing to argue with there. All right. So we'll get a top 5 here. So at number 5, your Philadelphia Eagles. Staying put right above the Texans. I think that's a good spot, especially the way our season ended. We're good to be in the top 5. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. It's not bad. Not bad.
And number 4, Detroit Lions. They stayed put as well. Number 3, the San Francisco 49ers. They dropped down a spot from 2. I think a lot of that may have to do with the situation with Brandon Ayuk and what people may think is going to happen with that.
Yeah.
And number 2, Baltimore Ravens. They moved up the spot that the 49ers dropped down. Preseason is so funny. You never move more than one spot. It's ridiculous. At least in the top, right? And then Kansas City, staying put at number 1. What a shot.
Of course. Yeah.
Any thoughts on that 5 there, Wyatt?
I don't like. I want to say Baltimore should be just a tiny bit lower, but then again, like they did pick up Henry. They went and drafted a nice receiver. I'm pretty sure filled out the defense a little bit, so it's like it's hard to drop them any further. And you did make a good point about the Ayuk situation with 49ers. So I mean, yeah, the top 5. I'm just happy we in it. Somebody actually giving us some respect. But it's a solid top 5, especially based off of last year.
Oh yeah. So yeah, good people. Like I said, we'll dig a little bit more into the power rankings next week. We'll start you at the bottom and we'll fly all the way up to the top, and we'll dig into them a little bit for you next week. We'll be getting ready for the regular season. The couple more weeks until we get to the regular season. We'll have our show on the 26th, and then the show after that on September the 2nd will be our preview show for week 1. And keep in mind, all Eagles fans, we play Friday the 6th, right after that opening game on the 5th in Brazil.
Yeah. So we only got
that's
2
only
more
on
shows
Peacock
until the game.
Yep, 2 more shows. So next week will be wrapping up the off season, talking about who everybody that's cut, what the depth chart should be out by then, what we're gonna have, and then when we go into that week before, news, previewing our first game, and we'll have some guests on from the Green Bay Packers to go over there with us. So that'll be fun.
Excited, man! Only 2 weeks.
2 weeks until the regular season, y'all. So, Wyatt, any last thoughts for the people before we get out of here?
Not really, man. Just super excited for the season. I'm ready to see what this final roster ends up shaping to look like.
Fair enough. Hey, man, if you're watching the show, if you're hearing it, if you're listening to it anywhere besides on YouTube at Eagles Elite Podcast, do your boys a favor. Slide on over to YouTube. Go up to your box. Search at Eagles Elite Podcast. When you see the symbol, go ahead and give us a like. Go ahead and give us a share and all that good stuff. So we continue growing this thing. So with that being said, there's only 2 things left. Well, 4 things actually, because we always got to hit you with a Fly Eagles Fly.
Fly Eagles Fly. Hashtag be elite.
And then, as always, tell 4 of your friends who may or may not actually be your friends, and 4 people who may not like you so well. Just because they may or may not like you doesn't mean they won't like us. And as always, it is never where you start, good people. It's always where you finish. And with that, we are out for the week. See us back next week. We expect to see all of you that were here, and some of you that may see it on the replay or catch it some other way. Come tell us live and interact as well. We out.